Opening remarks from Mr. Engle.
Have a moment of silence, please. Pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. All right. We have approval of the minutes from our July 20th meeting. Everyone have a chance to go through them?
President Cook, I'd like to add one thing. On July 20th meeting, minutes of the July 8th workshop were approved unanimously. With further review and comments received, those minutes included an error that should be corrected regarding the vote. The actual vote was 3-0, while the meeting minutes show a 3-1, 3-4, 1 against. The recommendation is to have the meeting minutes corrected and presented to the council at our next meeting on August 17th for approval.
Okay.
And I'd make a motion for approval of the minutes of July 20th, 2020 with my statement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
But just to clarify, you just modified the July 20th,
No, the July 8th.
but within the July, so you want to do that separately?
I can do it separately if that's the
I think
appropriate
we
way.
should go ahead and modify those minutes and do a separate motion, because that was in the context of that discussion in the July 20th meeting.
That's fine. So my first motion was for approval of minutes of July 20th, which we approved. My second motion would be for the July 8th workshop minutes to be corrected and presented at the August 17th meeting for approval.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Items by the mayor.
Couple things, Mrs. Cook. It became apparent after I left here after the last meeting and the RK&K session had ended, that I was probably the only one in the room that didn't understand what they were talking about. So I've asked the town engineer to do a simple plan in layman's terms of what the problem was and how they expected to correct it, and was that within their purview. So we have an undersized storm drain that runs about 3.5, 4 blocks of downtown Easton. That's got to be replaced. That's not going to be cheap, and it's not going to be a quick repair. But Rick was going to try and find a way that we could do it in phases and try to get that done.
Okay.
So that should be forthcoming, hopefully at the next meeting. And if need be, we can even ask him to step in just to give us an update.
Okay.
Also, Lynn Thomas is getting a study group together to work on the inner courtyard plan that was prepared probably 15 years ago, but now seems to be appropriate for the activities that are going on in the downtown. He's going to present a rough draft plan by the end of this month, so we'll have that to take a look at.
Okay.
Then also on Friday, the U.S. Department of Agriculture awarded a grant to Easton Utilities to install broadband service to the northern part of Talbot County. And the grant was, I believe, in the amount of $13 million.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it's a nice chunk of change. We'll take it again this Friday if they've got it laying around.
I know.
And that's it.
All right. Anyone have any questions for the mayor? All right. Thank you. Mr. Richardson?
Good evening, President Cook and Council. Just want to remind our residents that Tropical Storm Isaias is upon us, or about to be upon us this evening, and we recommend that our residents and property owners watch out for flooding due to rainfall, tropical force winds, and moderate tidal surges over this evening and into the early part of tomorrow morning. So caution is advised. This storm will be traveling past us on the east coast of the United States, and we expect it sometime this evening.
And Emergency Services, they said they're having information on their website and on their Facebook page, correct? That
There is, yes.
residents can follow.
That's all I have to say.
Any questions for Don?
Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Van Emberg.
One quick item. There was a technicality with the Reverend Davis's appointment. When he moved, the voter registration didn't get changed. Typically, that happens automatically with the change of address form, but for some reason it didn't. So he has gone and fixed that issue, but I think the cleanest thing is for you all just to reappoint him. That way, there's no questions and no issues in the future, so.
Should we go ahead and reappoint him now?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion to appoint Elmer to the vacant seat on the 4th Ward for a term which will be up for election next May.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you again, Reverend Davis.
Thank you.
Is there anything else?
That's all.
That's it, all right. And police board meeting tonight.
Good afternoon, Mayor, President Cook, council members. First, let me explain myself. Apparently, we got a tropical storm coming, and Chief found the necessity to remove his trailer or camper from underneath several big trees on his camping site, so you have me. On June 19th of this year, we had the fortunate pleasure to graduate Patrolman Andreas Blauer, Patrolman Andrea Kendall, and Patrolman Nicholas Everham from the Eastern Shore Criminal Justice Academy. And I can speak with confidence that this is by far probably the best group of individuals we had ever graduated from that police academy, and we're very proud of them. They're on their final few hours of their field training, which afterwards they'll be split up and put in respective squads amongst the police department. So typically we introduce them to you. I don't know how you, with everything, we just want them to stand up or just stand up.
Congratulations. And we thank you for your service and congratulations on graduation.
Thank you for serving our community. We look forward to it.
Captain, I do have a question. You said that this was the best graduating class. I thought the class that we graduated in was the best graduating class.
I couldn't say it in front of them, but
okay.
yeah. Yes. Appreciate you guys coming out.
Yeah,
You guys can go ahead and secure
thank you.
or go back to work. On the flip side of that, beginning July 6th, we've had 3 recruits enter the Eastern Shore Criminal Justice Academy. We currently have 1 remaining. Within the first week, 2 of them, well, we found out that we did a good job vetting them to become officers, but the one thing we couldn't vet was their heart. And both of them decided that it was in their best interest, and they just didn't have it in them to become a law enforcement officer. I don't know if the current climate had anything to do with that, or just the naiveness of what the police academy and what the job entailed. But we do have 1 remaining. He, in my opinion, is a strong candidate, and I expect him to complete the academy and do well with us. We also had an intern. We had Miss Jordan Newton from East Newmarket, Dorchester County, intern with us. She's majoring in forensic science at West Virginia University. She did a 30-day stint with us, did a fantastic job. And during that 30 days, we recruited her every day, tried to get her back here. But she completed her service. Her evaluations were all positive, and this was actually our first real internship program. We've done ride-alongs. We work things out with Chesapeake College every now and then, but this was the first real intern program, and it was a success. Now, she made it a success because I think she was a fantastic student of the college and representative of their program. Been a busy week, last few weeks. July 16th, we promoted Corporal Jason Dyatt as sergeant. He remains squad supervisor of his squad. We promoted PFC Megan Coxon to corporal. She's currently still assigned to narcotics unit. Once she finishes that up, she'll be transferred into a patrol division and or to a patrol squad in the patrol division. Last week, Lieutenant Brandon Bobick retired after 22 years of service, and I can speak and share my opinion of the chief, where he's dedicated some very good hours with us, years with us. He'll be missed tremendously. I was already looking for him or wanting his services today. Actually, I did call him though, but you know, he was a good guy, a quiet leader, very knowledgeable of his job, and he'll be missed. But with that, we have a promotion process starting this week to lieutenant to take his spot. We currently, with some of these promotions or some of these absences, this leaves us with leaves us short 3 officers. In addition, we have 6 officers who are eligible to retire, with more able to retire before February 21. Of those, none have officially told us their intent to retire. We're just preparing for the worst. We've had some recent events since we last talked to you guys. We've had June 6th, we had a We Are Human protest, which was held in front of the courthouse on Washington Street. It was a big event. We really weren't sure how it was going to go because it was on the heels of the unrest going on around the country, but it turned out to be very peaceful. We also had on June 19th band protests, which was a march that came through town, and I must admit that was the most organized group of individuals to partake in any charity walk, protest, march, or anything of this nature. They met with us from the onset, told us their plans. Things changed. They told us what they wanted to do. They told us they had people that were going to help keep participants actively in the march and, you know, progressively move through town. And I would take some of those individuals to help us with other parades. They were that well organized and that well respected of us, and to do their march. Well, it turned out to be very good. Of course, we had the Easton Celebrations fireworks. That was done with an asterisk because it wasn't done how it's normally done, but everything went well with that. We have peace vigils continuing at Ottawa Park. They're without incident. Our next big thing is National Night Out. That's been postponed to a later date in October. It will probably look a little different as well. I know that there's some conversations more so directed by me to, rather than doing one huge event, try to get back into the neighborhoods, get the neighborhoods to reinvest in their neighborhoods, reignite some of these relationships that we've had with these communities, and do something more like that. But we'll see how that goes. Coronavirus has not entered our doorways yet. We've had a couple of scares where we had to take action and temporarily quarantine people, but it turned out not to be that. So we're very fortunate. We're making sure that our personnel are practicing all the recommendations offered by CDC. I just did find out today that we have another individual that may be tested, but that I can tell you that's not going to cause any issues within our agency right now because the person's been away for a while already. So we've been working very hard with EMS, other partners involved in this battle, I guess, or this pandemic. We don't know how to thank them enough. I know Chief's very appreciative of them. Probably lastly I have here is the obvious, what Mr. Richardson talked about was the tropical storm. We've already begun our preparation, and it's typical for any storm, whether it's hurricane or winter. You know, we put all the advisories out to our staff, the prepping the cars, prepping the building, our facilities, outdoor items, restricting leave, all those necessary things. And that's all I have.
I have a question, sir.
Sure.
If during this deluge we're supposed to get, and I'm sure we're gonna get flooding, if we have areas that need attention, do they call you, or who would they call?
What kind of attention?
Let's say we get several intersections heavily flooded.
Heavily flooded. We'll go through Talbot Center, and I mean, not knowing exactly what you're talking about, but first with detour. I mean, our officers respond first based on 911 calls. We respond, and we know what areas are most prone to flooding, and we'll be prepared to stop traffic from those points on if our drain system's unable to keep up with it. But it'll be a coordinated effort with us, utilities, public works,
Yeah.
and
Thanks.
Talbot Center and their resources.
Thanks, sir.
Any other questions for Lieutenant Wright?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right. Now we have the public hearing on the annexation for Dutchman's Lane. Believe we have not heard any comments, correct?
Not
On
that
the-
I'm aware of. We started the public hearing at the last meeting,
Right.
and it wasn't closed, so we have it continued to this meeting, so I don't know if anyone from the public's here to comment on it or not, but essentially, we'd be ready for a vote then after the hearing is closed.
All right. Is there anyone that has any public comment about the annexation of Dutchman's Lane? Not, I'll close the public comment. And resolution number 6119 is eligible for a vote tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve of resolution 6119.
Second.
Second.
Okay. All right, resolution 6119. Please roll.
Mr. Silverstein?
Aye.
Mr. Engle?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes. All right. Ordinance number 751 is eligible for a vote.
I'll make a motion to approve of ordinance 751.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded.
Mr. Silverstein?
Aye.
Mr. Engle?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes. And resolution number 6120 is also eligible for a
Make a
vote.
motion to
Second.
approve. Okay.
Mr. Silverstein?
Aye.
Mr. Engle?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes. All right, we're on a roll.
Yeah.
Ordinance number 750.
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 750.
Second.
All right,
Mr. Silverstein?
Aye.
Mr. Engle?
Yes.
President Cook?
yes. And finally, ordinance 753.
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 753.
Second.
Mr. Silverstein?
Aye.
Mr. Engle?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
Where are we now?
So the county has it's on their agenda for tomorrow night
Yep.
for the county council, and then their planning commission, it's on their agenda for Wednesday. So once the county does their waiver process for the zoning and they authorize their body to convey the road, our annexation that you just did and the de-annexation will be effective essentially 50 days from now. So once that's effective, the county stuff should also be effective by then. And sometime around October-ish, we can go ahead and transfer the road.
Great.
before the snow comes. There's not allowed any snow before then. That's what the mayor says.
The citizens of my ward thank everybody.
All right, it is 5:50, so time for the public hearing on Critchlow Adkins Children's Center. I know the executive director, Ms. Morel, is in the,
Again, streets from William Turner and Kevin Schaefer from Trumbull County Public Schools, who actually have much more information, as the construction isn't quite done.
I was wondering if it was possible to show some photos. I don't know if that's doable.
Do you have a thumb
I
drive?
do, yes. And if not, it's not the end of the world. We're on a PDF file, still a PDF file on there.
Which is going to be probably much better than what I just.
So I know the topic on the agenda is for the Critchlow Atkins portion of the project, but the Critchlow Atkins portion of the project is a very small piece of the Easton Elementary School project. So it's been a while since the last update that we were able to give to everybody here. So I figured I could take a little bit of the opportunity to show what we've been doing down the street a little bit. So I know we have 10 minutes. Can you open the PDF actually, not the JPEG, if you can? So the phasing plan is what I kind of want to talk about most here, because the phasing plan here was very complicated. We were essentially building a 130,000 square foot building right behind the existing school on the same campus of two schools with their operation in the middle, right? So I've been, my name's Logan Street, I'm with Wedding Turner. I've been working on the project since, I guess, 2017 through the design and through the development of the plan, right? And when we were hired, the three big challenges were time, money, and safety, and that's kind of the normal three for every job, right? But time was being able to have them open in time for the 2020 school year with a complicated phasing plan, right, which we knew about. Money was not only developing and helping design a school at $350 a square foot, which is pretty insane this day and age, but also being able to build it and have minimal change orders so that it stayed at $350 a square foot. And I can happily say that we've been able to do all of the above, right? So I want to give a quick update. This is the PDF. So what's interesting about this is that the top right-hand corner of these slides, I'll call them, is our original plan, right? So the complicated phasing plan, because of the site that we had 4.5 phases, okay? And the biggest challenge was not only the time, money, and safety, but it was being able to do all three without sacrificing one, right? So the biggest challenge was doing all three with no access and no parking without interrupting their school activities at all, right? So I know most of the people are from around town, and you probably only saw the building from the 322 angle, right? And you weren't really even able to see it from Glenwood, which is down here at the bottom, right? Glenwood, and then 322 goes up the left side. You weren't really able to see the new building until about 3 months ago, maybe 2 months ago, when the old Moton School was demolished. Then you finally got a look at the new school and the new entrance. So that was a pretty big milestone for us, was being able to see that, right? So this photo that you're looking at here is from February of 2019. So this was phase one, and you can kind of see we had access from 322, we had access from Glenwood, and their school activities and daily operation wasn't really affected at all. We didn't change anything. So can you go to the next page? This was last summer, right? So the building now has the shell about 50%, roofing is going on. We still have access from 322. We still have access from Glenwood. But last summer, we actually took an opportunity to get a little bit of the site work done too. Because we knew that there was so much site work to do after we demolished Moton that we didn't have enough time to do it. So we took a little bit of the new entrance and we finished that last summer because they were out of school and we were able to do so. Next. This is May of this year, right? So we actually were able to get a temporary certificate of occupancy from the Town of Easton. I think it was April 3rd So we completed all of the requirements for our inspections for the actual building itself, right? And the initial plan was for Talbot County to move in that new school over Easter break. That was always the plan. It was going to be hard to do. Just so happens that obviously the COVID pandemic happened, and in mid-March, they were told to pack up all their things from the old school. March 13th, I think it was a Thursday. They were told to come in Friday and pack up all of their things. So every person in that old school packed up all of their things in one day. And Talbot County Public Schools moved all of their belongings into the new school over a weekend. And the staff hasn't been back since. So, and that was a huge thing for the public school system to be able to do in a weekend, because that allowed us to keep going. If everybody's things were left in that building, we were never going to be able to move into the next phase, which would be demo of the Moton building and the parking lot phase. So they literally moved, they packed up all their stuff in like a day with students in the building and moved it in over the weekend. So there's currently still like, they haven't been able to unpack, but at least they got everything in the new building, right? So again, this was from May, so that's what the building would have looked like had they moved from Moton into the new school. You can actually see in this photo that a portion of the Moton wing, which goes into the new courtyard, that's actually being demolished in the photo, and nobody else is really on site. So the next slide shows a different perspective. This is an aerial view from the 322 side of the new school back in May, so same time as the other photo. Again, if you look at the top right, exactly per what we had planned 3 years prior, right? So the best plan is a plan that you kind of stick to. You know, if we had good ideas, we went with good ideas, but for the most part, that plan, it worked, and we fought the whole time to keep it going. The playgrounds are in the courtyard. They were finished in time for us to open, which was a hard thing to do. A couple of statistics. Essentially, we're 100% complete with the building. We're finishing some punch list items and some commissioning items, but for the most part, the building is 100% complete. Billing-wise, so the overall cost of the project, we're about 95% billed, and that's because of the site work that we have left to do, and I'll show you what that is in the next photo. There was about 16 months for actual building construction, so that went from October of 2018 through April or March of 2020, so that's 16 months of building, which is pretty standard for this size building. During the course of construction of that building, we maxed out at 155 people, maybe 160, and we were averaging about 135 for almost 8 months. So there was a lot of people and a lot of people parking on Glenwood, so thanks to everybody who put up with that for a while. If we go to the final photo, which is actually a picture from early July, this is all the site work that's happening right now. So this will kind of give you an idea of what it will look like when we're done. But you'll have a bus loop for buses only, which will enter here and exit the other side. There's a canopy that goes from what we call the adoption wing, which is the wing on the bottom side of the page, which extends out to the bus loop so kids can get off the bus and enter. This is the main entrance, so the cars will drive on the main entrance. They'll drive all the way around. They can either park in the parking stalls or they can drive around the loop, and they can drop off at the front entrance. And that was a design element to try to limit the amount of cars backed up on Glenwood. So this is about a month ago. We've actually since paved the bus loop with our base pavement. The next step, assuming we don't get too much rain here tonight or tomorrow, but the next step is to finish the base asphalt. So we would put asphalt and pave everything that can be paved. We would convert the bio pond, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stormwater facilities. We would dig those out, put the mulch in, and finish those, and then landscaping. Okay, and then we hope by the end of the month or just after, all of that is turned over to the county for full use. The only thing left to do at that point would be to demolish the Dobson building, and we have about 150 geothermal wells that go in the footprint of that existing building. So it's to start demoing the Dobson building and then put in the geothermal wells. And then we estimate maybe sometime in October, November, all that work's done, and 3 years later, we're done with the project, right? So that is an update on Easton Elementary School. Any questions about that?
Quite impressive.
Again, I know Critchlow Adkins is a small part of it, but I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about the whole thing, assuming that that'd be okay. Critchlow Adkins is actually in that bottom entrance right there. They have 3 or 4 rooms that you see in the packet that she had handed out. And we're expecting that Critchlow Adkins have access to the building too by the end of the month. So, any questions?
No, thank you very much.
I drove by it the other day, and it is interesting to see the demolition process going on, and also the paving that's getting ready for the bus loop. But you guys have done an extraordinary job coordinating with the school and your organization to build what I think is a state-of-the-art building for our students. So I compliment all of you.
I would agree. Thank you.
Thank you for your support, because without it, I know Critchlow wouldn't have been able to be part of it, so thank you for making that possible.
And on behalf of Talbot County Public Schools, I would like to thank the Town of Easton and Critchlow for the partnership, and obviously Logan's proud of the project that he's coordinated, and we are too, as the owner representative. Very happy that it's coming to a close, and the job well done to Logan and Mike Turner. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So are we leaving the public hearing open?
I don't think you need
We
to.
don't need to. We can close public hearing. There's no comment. All right, I'll close the public hearing on Critchlow Adkins. All right. We're introducing ordinance 754 tonight.
So ordinance 754 is a bond issuance for the town of Easton in the amount of $7 million. That's the principal dollars that we desire to borrow at this point. The document that you have before you includes the interest payments, some capitalized interest, some interest only period, and the issuance costs. There is also, the amount is also higher because the bonding agents typically give discounts on the original premium. And so we may actually end up having to borrow less money than $7 million to get the $7 million. So those details will be worked out with our bond counselor as the months move forward. They updated a schedule, which I believe you've each been provided for the process of this bond issuance.
Does anyone have any questions for Don? All right. Ordinance number 754, an ordinance to authorize and empower the town of Easton to issue and sell upon its full faith and credit $8,650,000 maximum aggregate principal amount of its serial or term maturity, general obligation, fully registered bonds pursuant to the authority of section 19-301 to 19-309, inclusive in section 19-207 of the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and section 19 of Article 6 of the Charter of the Town, the bonds to be designed the Town of Easton Public Facility Bonds of 2020, the net proceeds of the sale thereof to be used and applied for the public purpose of financing or refinancing all or a portion of the items described in Exhibit A to this ordinance, and all related architectural, financial, legal, planning, engineering expenses, and B, paying all expenses incurred in the issuance of the bond, which expenses may include cost of document production and reproduction, the financial advisory and counsel fees and expenses, prescribing the form and tenor of the bonds and the terms and condition of the issuance and sale of the bonds at public sale, including the form of the notice of sale, prescribing the terms and conditions of the bonds and all other details incident to the insurance, sales, and delivery of the bonds, providing that the proceeds of such bonds or any money which may be deemed to be proceeds will not be used in a manner which would cause said bonds to be arbitrage bonds, providing for the appointment of a paying agent and registrar for the bonds, covenanting the levy and collecting taxes sufficient for the prompt payment of the maturing principal and of interest on the bonds, and pledging the town's full faith and credit and unlimited taxing power to the prompt payment of such principals and interests, and generally related to the issuance, sales, delivery, and payment of the bonds.
Tongue twister.
Woo! Only read that once.
So tonight is for introduction.
Correct.
A public hearing is not required, but you can certainly have one. It is a large amount of
It is
borrowing.
large.
You may want to have one at your next meeting, and then it would be eligible for a vote at that next meeting as well.
Okay, so set the public hearing on the bond for the 17th. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes. What time would you like that?
Oh, 5:45?
5:45. Thank you.
Yeah. All righty. Gentlemen, do you have any questions tonight on that, or, no? There's a lot. All right.
Yes, Mrs. Cook, give you a short rundown of the meeting that was held last Thursday morning at the Waterfowl Festival building. That concerned the topic was the downtown outdoor dining in Easton. A more formal report will be coming probably by the next meeting. I can give you the highlights of what went on at this meeting, and they can reaffirm that hopefully at the formal report comes. There were approximately 70 people in attendance, about split evenly with in-person visitors, and also half were virtual off of, I guess, Zoom or something of that nature. Several findings were brought out between the groups, and it seemed they had breakout sessions where they discussed particular issues that were appropriate for all of the groups that were there. There was a support for strategies that could be implemented in a phased approach. The closure of Washington Street surprised many people because it was thoroughly rejected by most of the people there. They didn't want to have that street completely closed. The parklets, widely considered acceptable. There was a real underlying theme about how do we get people to come to Easton to visit, mostly those that need a day out of the city or a day on the road for some reason or other. There was also effort to provide Easton as a marketing destination and having the safest and most frequently environmental environment to conduct your business in, and also your day trips. Whatever plan is implemented was to help all downtown businesses, not just the restaurants. And we do now, we'll set the stage for the fall. There were a lot of short-term needs that will be addressed in the weeks to come. There were also several of the restaurants downtown have sent in notes that were very favorable to the overall operation of the outdoor dining, most namely Scotia's, the pub, and some of the bookstore on the corner that they felt business had definitely picked up. Although it was kind of strange, they didn't feel there was as much walking traffic, but people did seem to spend more money, which is, I guess, a good thing to have. So, again, this is just a short rundown of what they had, and Tracy will have a more formal report at the next meeting.
Does anyone have any questions for the mayor? I think we're all in attendance on some level. Some were in person, some of us were on Zoom calls, so it seemed to be a well-run meeting, and Tracy did a good job. So we look forward to hearing from her on the final. So next on the agenda would be, I guess, the parklets, the discussion of Washington Street dining. Mr. Silverstein, I believe your motion at the last meeting only extended through to this meeting. So I guess the discussion tonight, is this something that the council is interested in continuing until we hear a final plan, I guess, from the EEDC or something else to move on? Is it something we want to discontinue? Is it something we want to just continue to the next meeting and do it as a 2-week time frame? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the report, I've seen the draft report, and I was there at the thing. Everybody pretty much liked the parklet with some modifications. And I can't tell if if they did more business this weekend, they're pretty brave people, because I certainly wasn't going to sit out in that stuff. I think that we should continue on with this for a while we're working something up. I think I have full faith in the economic development to help us come up with a plan, but the way that I saw the results of that meeting is that we would go with this and we would start working towards the one that would ultimately encompass the whole block, but not cutting the streets off. I think it's one the Magnusarian did. And the other part of it was the beautification part, which is something that should be going on now, because everybody was in favor of making the front of their stores look better. So I think that we need to keep on moving and get economic development up to speed to start running this thing for us so we can move.
As I indicated, Lynn Thomas is working with a group, and we'll have that report by the end of the month. But that is a very long-term report at best, and a very, again, expensive report. So we'll see what that develops, and what the parklets and what they can do with the sidewalks. But I didn't sense there was much much support for large-scale concerts. They were looking for more of the small, more like individual music that would be at Thompson Park and what have you.
And I'd point, I don't know about the rest of people, I have received no negative comments of any kind with respect to what we're doing right now. So I think that's a big deal.
I'd make a motion that we extend the experiment for another 30 days, and that will give us some time to get some of those reports back, and we can go from there, and then also talk to the businesses and see how they feel.
I'll second the motion.
I was just going to say, I'm not sure how the 30 days comes. Does that extend us to our first meeting in September?
That would be fine.
Okay. I'm just wondering as far as
Yeah.
timing goes, I haven't counted out 30 days. Okay, so that would be to September 7th.
That would be great.
Okay.
I'd amend it to
And that
September
avoids
7th.
the holiday, correct?
Yep.
I'm not sure when that Labor Day holiday is.
I think it's a preceding weekend.
Okay. All right, so until clarifying September 7th.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Is there a second?
Oh, second.
Okay. All in favor of extending it to September 7th?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We'll carry that through until September 7th. All right. Next, we have a review of invoices totaling $2,177,002.63.
Motion for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. And does anyone else have anything to bring before the council this evening? All right, seeing none?
Just had an opportunity to attend 2 retirement luncheons here last week, and one at Town Hall, one at the Police Department. And I think just as we talked about, we're very lucky to have quality individuals that have gone to work on behalf of the town and for the town. And so it was nice to be able to thank them for their service.
Don Abatello and others have been looking at some goals that we believe are worthwhile pursuing with the council. What I'd like to do is give everybody a hard copy, and I'll give you a PDF on it, I think it's something that we might want to discuss at the next meeting. I
Okay.
think they're all pertinent, and I agree with most of them. I don't want to give this up to you.
I have
I think I have one of them too. Yeah, I do have.
Megan, you have one?
I'll get one from Ron.
Ron, Megan needs one.
I gave mine to Al.
Oh,
I was trying to be kind.
She's being gentle.
Thank you.
that's all I have.
Reverend Davis, do you have anything?
No, I had an opportunity to go to the retirement at the police department, and it's seemingly we're having some people retire, and I think that getting ahead of the game is a good thing to do at such a time as this. So it was just a good opportunity to be there, and I'm just learning my way around the city and the life in the big city of Easton. So it's exciting. So.
And I just read online of the passing of life member Leonard Rick, so our thoughts go out to the Easton Fire Department. He was the longest serving officer we had, I guess, at the volunteer, 77 years, they said, so thoughts are with his family.
I thought you had that many.
Yeah, I thought that too.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.